Well, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hi, this is my channel. Now this is the first episode in a new series of mine. It's a series I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I didn't know if people would be interested in it, but I hope you guys are. And I did kind of just go, sod it, I've always wanted to do this type of thing, and I've kind of dabbled in it a little bit since my first year at uni. So yeah, I'm very excited that this is finally happening. I'm still not quite sure when this is going to be aired, but obviously considering you'll be watching this, you'll know when it's aired. Anyway, I have notes, I have lists, I am very organised for this series, unlike many others I have been doing recently. I'm going to stop rambling. I never know how to do proper introductions, and despite being on YouTube for like 3 years now. So let's just get right on into it. So basically, as you guys will tell by the title below, this is about getting into law school, and I'm going to put this out there now. I'm talking about UK law schools, and some law schools are slightly different, not very different, but slightly different. But I know, my point is I'm not going to be able to talk to you about the American legal system. To get into law school, you have to have a rough idea of the area in which you want to go into, and I mean really rough. First year is where you get your feet and where you're like, okay, this is serious, like I'm at law school, what the heck? And yeah, so I kind of had an idea of what areas I wanted to go into. However, if you have optional modules or just your core modules in general, which you haven't learned before, that could change your mind. It may not change your mind, it may solidify your choice. So for me, I've always liked the whole criminal sector and anything to do with that, like anti-terrorism law, murder cases, and all that, you know, the usual stuff you think about when you think about law. But I am in my final year now, and I studied commercial law, and I thought, oh, commercial law might be fun. Me personally, not a commercial law gal. At least not learning it in a classroom. Most of it is different in practice, but you know what I mean. So my point is to kind of have an idea, so you know, like, oh, I really want to do this, so I'll do more research on this, or it's like I'll definitely get the textbook for this and stuff like that. So for me, in first year we did do criminal law, and it was kind of like my A-level law, so that for me was like, sorted, I'm good at this, I know what I'm doing. So that sort of solidified that. But there were some very interesting other topics where I was like, oh, maybe I'll give that a go. Some universities in England do require you to take what is called an LNAT. I bought an LNAT book in preparation because some of the universities I wanted to get into required an LNAT, which is basically a problem-solving exam. I didn't have to take it because the University of Law gave me an unconditional. And even with unconditional, you do have to take an LNAT sometimes, but they did not require you to take an LNAT to be able to get into their law course. I should know what the LNAT stands for. I don't. My point is readily available in Waterstones, in WH Smith's, Amazon, all that jazz. You can get an LNAT book which has previous questions in it, so you can kind of get a feel and practice writing it, and they'll give you criticism on the back, like what you should have included and stuff like that. So it's quite good. The books are quite good and quite cheap. But an LNAT is basically an admissions test, which some universities also require you to do an admissions interview. I, again, luckily didn't have to do that. But the interview is just to see if you're capable, to see if what your English language skills are like, which if English is not your first language, you will have to take an English language test, unless you can prove that you've taken one very recently. So that's more for like the international students and stuff like that. So they'll test that in the interview. It's like a job interview, but you've got to basically show that you're punctual and smart enough to be at university. A lot of universities do require interviews. Hull does not. You do not need to study law at A-levels. I did because I kind of knew I wanted to go into law, so you don't have to. It's all covered in the first year anyway, with obviously more in depth because it's university level. Do I recommend I do personally, because as I said, my criminal law was basically my A-levels, but doing it again, so I was kind of ahead of the game. A lot of people I know, actually the majority of law students I know, did do law at A-levels, or they did a law BTEC, and I didn't. I did a law A-level rather than a BTEC, and it gives you a little bit of a step. But if you're currently doing A-levels now, and you're like, oh my god, I'm not doing law, how am I going to get into law? It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what A-levels you do have, as long as you get certain grades, depending on the university you're going to. Law is one of the ones where you do have to get higher grades in your A-levels, especially, obviously, most prestigious universities such as Durham. I'm going to take Oxbridge out of the equation because they're a whole different kettle of fish. If you guys do want me to do an Oxbridge video, do let me know, and I can do my research for you guys and let you know. But they're what you call the Russell Group universities. They're like, after Oxbridge, they're like the dog's bum of, I know that's not the phrasing, but I'm trying not to swear in these videos, of universities, and they're the ones that usually require you to say the LNAT, interview, all of that jazz, and they do require a higher grade boundary. Luckily for me, who, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I didn't do well in my A-levels. I just didn't. There are many reasons. I can do a whole video on that. We're not here for that right now. It was a lot, so I didn't do well in my A-levels, but luckily for me, the universities I applied to didn't require too high of a threshold, and there are many different circumstances as to why universities who do require a slightly higher threshold than what you think you're going to get will give you an unconditional anyway, or even just a conditional. Luckily, all of my universities gave me unconditionals. This may be kind of like a common sense thing, but I'm going to throw it in here anyway. Apply to more than one university. The amount of people at my college I heard going, oh, I only really like this university, I'm only going to apply to that one. Don't do that. Especially if you're planning on doing a law degree. I'd like to point out he wasn't doing a law degree, but if you are doing a law degree, don't be silly and limit yourself to one. Because if you don't get into that one, you haven't got a backup. Because, oh god, I can't remember the names now, but you have, I'm just going to call it a backup. You have your main one, and then you put down your backup as well. You apply to 5 on a UCAS application. Yeah, you send out the exact same personal statement, you send out the exact same application, but you just put down which universities you want UCAS to send them to. And, oh, I can't remember where I applied now.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the...
My point is, if you, your max is 5. My point is, if you apply to more than one university, you have a higher chance of getting in. It's just statistics, probability, all stuff that I didn't do well at, but all of my universities, as I said, gave me unconditionals, so I wasn't in too bad of a dire situation. But I know my friend who applied for law as well, she didn't get her first choice, so she went to her backup, but because she lost her unconditional. If you put an unconditional as your second choice, it doesn't become an unconditional, it automatically becomes a conditional. But if you put an unconditional as your first choice, you're in, basically. They can't take that away from you, unless you do a criminal offence, or you do something really, really bad, so really criminal. So, in other words, an unconditional means you're in. Unconditional means you're in if you get these, so, which a lot of people do get. But if you put an unconditional as your second choice, like it's your second choice university, but it gave you an unconditional, it turns into a conditional, so be careful of that. Go to open days. I don't know how many times I have to say this, I don't even know if I've said it on this channel, but I've said it to so many people who've asked me. Go to open days. I'm not talking about to learn more about the modules. It does, you learn the same stuff you learn online, because I browse online, I window shop as it were, so you window shop for universities. Go to open days mainly for the campus. Pictures are very, very deceiving. Now, I went to quite a few. I went to the Hull Open Day, and I went to the King's College London Open Day. And let me tell you, the King's College Open Day was so informative. And it did tell you a bit more about the module than what, the course, than what was on the website, but it was so informative, and especially because King's College London isn't a campus-based university, it is a city-based university. So for example, you'd have the law school here, and then over here, a couple of tube rides away is another part of it. So it's scattered around London, which was amazing, and my dad and I went, we love London, and we walked around, and the accommodations are in different places, whereas Hull is a campus-based university where the accommodations, that there is one set of accommodation that isn't attached to the university, but other than that there's two halls that are attached to the university, and all of the lecture theatres, all the seminar rooms, the student union, all that is in one set place. It's not a very big campus. And then you've got the streets either side of it is basically all student housing. So yes, do definitely go to open days, mainly, yeah, for the atmosphere. And I'm the type of person who believes you can get like a vibe for a place. You'd be like, do you want to go? Now, it was peeing it down with rain when I went to my Hull open day, and you know what? It still didn't deter me. And King's College, it was sunny, so don't let the rain deter you, like the weather deter you either, because sometimes you can just be like, yep, this is it, I can see myself working here, I can see myself legging it through the rain to get to my lecture theatre, and yeah, 3 years later you could be sat where I'm sat. Going back to the application itself, I did a video on this which I will link in the description, and if I learn how to use the I thing, I'll put it up in the I thing. You need to write a compelling but truthful personal statement. The amount of times I've seen people lie on their personal statements. If you go for that interview, they will quiz you on that personal statement. They'll ask you about your hobbies that you've put on there. So if you've lied and said you like to skydive, you're a bit screwed, not gonna lie. I can't even remember what I put as my hobbies on there. I mean, I didn't lie. I put in some academic reading I'd done, I'd put in obviously my extracurriculars, I put in obviously what I was studying, what the course was like. I did a whole video on personal statements. I might do another one because that one's a little bit outdated and it was a little bit rushed, but I'm going to link it anyway, so if you guys want to check that out, please do check that out. And yeah, but my point is, don't lie in your personal statement. So many people do, and so many people get caught out, and it's rather funny because then they have to go to their second choice and they might not even get that, because if they have to go to an interview for that one, you might not get it because you're a liar. One of the things that some people don't actually know about a law course is that some of them aren't qualifying. Now, you can easily find this out. It'll say it in the module description, usually in the first paragraph on the module description page. I keep calling the module on the course description page. I'm losing my mind, guys. So it'll say, this is a qualifying LLB law degree, or just say a qualifying law degree. This is linked to the Bar Standards Board and stuff like that, and the Legal Standards Board and whatnot. All the jibber jabber that you'll end up learning. But my point is, if it doesn't say it's qualifying, you're just learning law for the sake of learning law. See, I've got a law degree. Can you become a lawyer? No. You have to have a qualifying law degree to be able to be a lawyer. You cannot go into the next step, which is the LPC or the Bar Professional Training Course, or the Bar Training Course as it's now being called, without a qualifying law degree. Otherwise, you know the law, and that's great, but you can't qualify. So you might as well just get a qualifying law degree. The majority, and I am talking 99%, and I haven't googled these statistics, but the majority of law degrees are qualifying, because it kind of makes sense to be qualifying. Even if you don't end up going into law, you might as well have a qualifying law degree. But do make sure, just double check, just read that first paragraph. I mean, I read all of my course pages when I was looking for the university I wanted to go to. That's how I knew which university I wanted to go to. There is an option to go for an LLB law degree with blah blah. So in other words, some universities offer law with politics, law with philosophy, law with different types of law. So for example, at Hull you can do law with EU law, law with public law, you can do law with politics. But some you can like make up your own degrees, like law with English, law with history, all that type of jazz. So you can do that if you want to. Those ones you will definitely have to check if they are a qualifying law degree or whether it's just the subject. So that one you do have to be quite careful with. Just read it, and if you really can't find it, call or email. I'd email, but that's just me. If you don't just want to study law is what you're doing. I'm just doing an LLB law degree. I just want to do straight law. I knew what I wanted to do. Law. Here we are. If it is a qualifying one, you will most likely not get optional modules. I got 2 optional modules in my second year, and then my entire third year is optional. So that's how that works. But if you're doing it with another degree, the likelihood is you won't get any options. Sometimes you do. Likelihood is you won't though. Now, one of the things that people don't tell you about, and this isn't just for a law degree, but I thought I'd tack it on to the end because we're talking about applying for university. Make sure you can afford the accommodation. That was one of the main reasons. There were other factors, but that was one of the main reasons I did not choose to go to King's College London. I calculated my maintenance loan, which you can do on the Student Finance England website. It alters a little bit, give or take £100, depending on the year, but you can calculate it the year, like if you're applying now, and by now I mean I'm currently in November when I'm filming this, so if you're applying November 2019 to get into September 2020, you will be able to calculate your maintenance loan. Obviously it is a means tested, so it depends on what your parents or your guardians earn, which is a bit crappy in my opinion. I'm going to do a whole video on that as well. So many videos planned, so many videos, I'm going to end up confusing all of you. But make sure you can afford the accommodation. London was far too expensive. I could have done the train travel, but if I lived at home, like if you live at home and it's outside of London, which mine is, I would have gotten decidedly much less of a loan. Obviously all of that is on the Student Finance England website, it's on the UCAS website, and you can probably find links if you look at fees and funding on the university website as well. It's quite transparent, but it is one thing that I know a lot of people don't take into account when they're applying. They're just like, oh, this university's great, it's prestigious, it does the course I want, it does all the modules I want, gorgeous campus, amazing amenities. Yeah, what about your accommodation? Gorgeous accommodation, how much is it? Can you afford it? It is quite difficult. Obviously, through second and third year, you most likely move accommodation, but you still gotta check that. You gotta check the surroundings. Like if I was in London, I would be royally in a bad situation in my third year, because third year you get decidedly less money because they don't class you as a student for the final semester of your degree, which is so infuriating, but it's something they don't tell you. Wow, that was a long video. I feel like it's a long video anyway. I can't actually see the timestamp. But I hope you enjoyed it. I do, and I'm enjoying this, like doing these style videos, and I'm enjoying talking to you guys about law, because I don't get to talk about it very often, because the only person I get to talk to are my law friends, and they're about as stressed as I am, so yay. So I'm happy I get to talk to someone about it. You guys are amazing. And if you, as I said, if you're seeing this face for the first time, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the like button if you did like this video, or if you're not seeing this face for the first time, do those things anyway, and comment down below any university tips you've got, any questions you have, because I'll be happy to do Q&A videos. I'll be happy to answer questions in the comments, depending on how many I get, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the video. Bye bye.